We're honored to be joined by Aisha Glover, who is Vice President of Urban Innovation at Audible. She's joined us so many times in the past in a different capacity, talking about issues that matter in urban communities, not just Newark, but across this nation. First of all, welcome, Aisha.
Thank you for having me.
Talk about Audible and its specific commitment to the city of Newark and the people that you're looking to serve.
Sure. So Audible moved to Newark in 2007. I like to say on purpose. Wanted to really be part of the city's revitalization, and is actually now the fastest growing employer. And then one of the things that I found really appealing was their approach to philanthropy was not as traditional, very much along the lines of making direct community impact and investments. And so that looks like everything from working with students to provide them opportunities to be interns, paying them year round for nearly 6 years. That looks like supporting small businesses and restaurants. It looks like us also founding and creating Newark Venture Partners. So the portfolio is pretty diverse, and how Audible looks at its social and economic impact was just really compelling to me.
I should talk about working local, living local.
Sure. So Newark has a pretty transient workforce.
They leave.
Oh yeah, kind of in and out, right? And so what that does is it has a tremendous impact during the day while the workforce is there. And then, you see that tinkering off in the evenings and weekends. And so you can imagine how much harder the downtown core and the downtown businesses in particular were hit during the pandemic, because what you saw was an absence of corporations, of institutions, of our two major entertainment venues being closed. And so what we've tried to do is double down on our efforts to kind of make up for our own absence and, quite frankly, the absence of others, right? And so personally, I was excited about so many of the interventions and the COVID response solutions, because it was kind of maintaining a lot of the growth and the economic gains that Newark had been experiencing, right? And so Newark Working Kitchens, I think, is a great example of that. Our Future Leaders program, we actually
go back to Newark. I'm sorry for interrupting, Aisha. Go back to Newark Working Kitchens. I'm fascinated by that. Explain to folks what it is.
Sure. So Newark Working Kitchens was started in April of 2020, and it is essentially a meal prep program. So we partnered with World Central Kitchens and Marcus Samuelson, as you know, who has a restaurant downtown, to stand up this effort in order to keep the lights on for many of the businesses. So we would guarantee a certain number of meals would be purchased every week. And then the beauty of this program is also matching those meals to people across the city that need it the most. So we're keeping restaurants open, we're keeping their employees employed, many of whom are actually Newark residents, and then we're bringing that food to people across the city that need it the most. We've been running that program every single week for nearly a year and a half, and we've delivered 1 million and about 1.2 million meals.
And people like Marcus Samuelson, I remember we interviewed him at NJPAC several years ago. I mean, just amazing, important entrepreneur in his field, but making a contribution and making a difference philanthropically as well. Hey, listen, talk to me about Newark Artist Collaboration, because the arts matter here as well.
The arts absolutely matter, and I think it's a great example of what started going on in our brains after the huge success of Newark Working Kitchens, like starting to look at other sectors that had also been impacted and potentially even really overlooked, right? So besides the fact that we have a pretty deep commitment to the cultural life in the city, I think our goal was really how do we support those local artists and art organizations. So we're actually commissioning over 15 public art installations. Some are internal to our building because we were undergoing a renovation, and some we've pushed out as kind of a gift to the city around beautification, but more importantly to really put funding into the hands of the arts community in the city.
And so many of those artists have suffered. Listen, everyone has suffered in one way or another around the pandemic, But we had an artist on recently who just talked about the devastating impact on his art, frankly, on the economics of his art. We need to understand that, do we not? Because if we lose that, that's losing a part of who we are as a people.
That's 100%. You nailed it, Steve, as usual. This is really about economic revitalization, about having culturally diverse and dynamic neighborhoods, right? We don't want to look like any town USA. We need to really preserve so much of that art history and that creative talent in the city. And so we were really determined to be pretty intentional about the first go round and then really how we grow this program.
Before I let you go, Aisha, is there a summer internship program we should know about?
Absolutely. So this is one of the things I get most excited about because it's not about who you know. It's really
NJ Leap?
We did also partner with NJ Leap, but our kind of signature internship program works with only Newark high schools. We bring interns in as juniors in their high school year, and we pay them year round and follow them all through college, which is pretty unprecedented. It's not your standard corporate summer internship. And so the exposure that these students get across a range of departments, the investments they get from us, the mentorships and technical assistance and support is really unmatched. So I love that it's Newark, I love that it's students, and I love that it's deep and meaningful.
Yeah. Hey, Aisha, it seems to me it doesn't matter where you are, what organization you're with, but now you're with Audible. You always seem to be making a difference, particularly in Brick City and Newark. And that's important. And you have an open invitation to be with us anytime. Thanks, Aisha.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You got it. I'm Steve Adubato. That's Aisha Glover. We'll be right back.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by TD Bank, PSC&G, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Prudential Financial, the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan, Georgian Court University, Atlantic Health System, and by the Russell Berry Foundation. Promotional support provided by NJ Biz and by New Jersey Globe.
What is your child's dream for the future? Doctor? Teacher? Architect? Whatever they aspire to be, a college education may realize those dreams. And NJ Best can help. It's the college savings plan specifically designed for New Jersey families. Start saving today with as little as $25, because now is the time to invest in their future. To learn about NJ Best 529 College Savings Plan, its investment objectives, risks, and costs, read the Investor Handbook available at njbest.com.